Hi guys, I'm Qidist and today we're going to be talking about the 8th chapter of the grade 12 English textbook. So telemedicine, this chapter we have hulat lessons. The first lesson is about transitive and intransitive verbs, and the second lesson is about active voice and passive voice. So the first lesson, transitive and intransitive verbs. So a verb can be transitive or intransitive based on whether it requires an object to express or not. On ለምሳሌ የሆነ verb በአማርኛው ግስ የምንለው transitive ወይ intransitive መሆን የሚችለው express የሚያደርገው object ካለ ነው። አሁን የሰንተንስ ፎርም ከአሁን በፊት እንደምናውቀው subject plus verb plus object ነው። እና ያ object ሊኖርም ላይኖርም ይችላል። ካለ ኤክስፕረስ የሚደረግ ከሆነ ያ ኦብጀክት ትራንዚቲቭ ነው እንለዋለን፣ ከሌለ ኢንትራንሲቲቭ ነው እንለዋለን ማለት ነው። Transitive verbs are verbs that use a direct object. Direct object ማለት ቀጥታ ኤክስፕረስ የሚደረግ ኦብጀክት አላቸው ማለት ነው። ያ ዳይሬክት ኦብጀክት ከሌለ ደግሞ if the direct object does not exist, ያ አክሽን ኤግዘርት የሚደረግበት አካል የለም። ያ verb ድርጊቱ የሚፈጸምበት አካል የለም። ስለዚህ ሰንተንሱ ትርጉም አይሰጥም ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ትራንዚቲቭ verb ሲኖረን ሰብጀክቱ አክሽኑን ፈጻሚ ይሆናል፣ ኦብጀክቱ አክሽኑን ተቀባይ ይሆናል። ይሄ ማለት verb ማለት አክሽን ስለሆነ the subject does the verb and the object accepts the verb. ለምሳሌ Juan threw the ball. Juan threw the ball. Threw የሚለው verb እዚህ ጋር threw የሚለው verb እዚህ ጋር who threw the ball የሚል ጥያቄ ያመጣልናል። threw ብቻ ካለን who threw what? Who threw what? ማን ምንን ወረወረ? ማን ምንን ወረወረ የሚል ጥያቄ ያመጣልናል። ማን who ለሚለው ጥያቄ we have Juan, and min what ለሚለው ጥያቄ ደግሞ we have the ball. Who threw the ball? Juan. What was thrown by Juan? The ball. ገባችሁ? ትራንዚቲቭ verb ሲሆን አክሽኑን ፈጻሚና አክሽኑን ተቀባይ አካል ያስፈልገናል ማለት ነው። ኢንትራንሲቲቭ verb ሲሆን ግን አክሽኑ ተቀባይ አካል አያስፈልገው፣ ሰብጀክት ብቻ በቂ ነው፣ ኦብጀክት የለውም ማለት ነው። ይሄ ማለት አክሽኑን ፈጻሚ አካል ነው ያለው እንጂ ተቀባይ አካል የለውም። ለምሳሌ we have they jumped. እዚህ ጋር the verb jumped does not require us to answer the question what or who jumped የሚለው ጥያቄ they ግን jump on ካለ jump on phrasal verb ከሆነ ነው ጥያቄ የሚመጣው። on what የሚለው phrasal verb ሲሆን ትራንዚቲቭ ይሆናል jumped on ሲሆን እንጂ jumped ብቻ እሱ ዘለለ አለቀ፣ እነሱ ዘለሉ አለቀ። እንደዛ ስለሆነ we don't need an object አክሽኑ የተፈጸመበት ኦብጀክት አያስፈልገን፣ ሰብጀክት ብቻ ካለን በቂ ነው እዚህ ላይ። ኦኬ እነዚህ ቨርቦች ደግሞ sometimes they have imperative form ማለት ብቻውን ሆኖ ግን ኮማንድ ሊሰጠን የሚችል ወይ አንድ full sentence meaning ያለው ሊሰጠን የሚችል we have run is a command or a warning. Run can be a command or a warning. ግን run ካለን የሆነ ሰው ሩጥ ማለት ነው። it has a meaning. We don't need you should run የሚለው ነገር እስኪ ሙሉ sentence እስኪ construct you should run የሚለውን ሙሉ sentence construct እስከሚያደርግልን መጠበቅ የለብንም። so we know run ከተባለ by default that it has a meaning. And then we have the second lesson, active voice and passive voice. Okay, so the main difference between active voice and passive voice is the placement of the subject and the object. Main difference is subject እና የኦብጀክቱ placement ነው። active voice እና passive voice ላይ tense አይቀየር፣ reported speech አይደለም። tense አይቀየርም፣ the tense stays the same, ፎርሙ የቨርቡ ፎርም ነው የሚቀያየረው እንጂ። so main ፎከሳችን ሰብጀክቱ አክሽኑ የተፈጸመበትና አክሽኑን የፈጸመው አካል ቦታቸው የት ነው የሚለው ጥያቄ ነው። see when we see active voice the subject that's performing the action at the beginning of the sentence ይመጣል። the subject that's performing the action at the beginning of the sentence ይመጣል። ለምሳሌ she loves twilight. Who loves twilight? She, her, እሷ። What is loved by her? Twilight. ማን ነው twilightን የሚወደው? እሷ ምንድነው የምትወደው? twilight. you see ሁለት ጥያቄ ያለን ሁለቱንም ይመልስልናል ማለት ነው። who and what. this is who and this answers what. okay እንደዚህ ስለሆነ it has a direct clear tone. direct ቀጥታ የተባለውን ነገር ነው የሚገልጽልን። ቀጥታ የተባለውን ነገር ነው የሚገልጽልን ማለት it doesn't give us የሆነ wordy meaning ረዘም ያለ wordy meaning አይሰጠንም so it gives us a direct clear tone ይህንን የምንጠቀመው usually active voice የምንጠቀመው usually ሪደሩ subject ላይ እንዲሆን ፎከሱ ስንፈልግ ነው subject ላይ ወይ ደግሞ action የፈጸመው አካል ላይ ፎከሱ እንዲሆን ስንፈልግ we use active voice when we don't want the attention to be on the object but we want it to be on the subject on the door of the action ሲሆን we use active voice form subject plus verb plus object okay subject plus verb plus object ይሆናል form and then we have passive voice ደግሞ በactive voice ተቃራኒ object ከፊት ሲመጣ ደግሞ ድርጊቱ የተፈጸመበት አካል ከፊት ሲመጣ ማለት ከኋላ ደግሞ subject ሲመጣ verbuን actionን የፈጸመው አካል ከኋላ ሲመጣ we call it passive voice የምንጠቀመው usually ፎከሳችን ኦብጀክቱ ላይ ሲሆን ካልሆነ ደግሞ when we don't know who the subject is ድርጊቱ በማን እንደተፈጸመ ሳናቅ ስንቀር we use passive voice ወይ ደግሞ ፎከሳችን ኦብጀክቱ ላይ ሲሆን ማለት for example we have Twilight is loved by her እዚህ ጋርም still it answers the question who loves Twilight and what is loved by her what እና who የሚለውን ጥያቄ ይመልስልናል ግን ከአክቲቭ ቮይስ በተቃራኒ we find them in the opposite places Twilight ከፊት መጣ ወይ ደግሞ acceptor of the action what is loved by her ለሚለው acceptor of the action Twilight መጣ and ከፊት መጣ and the doer of the action her ከኋላ መጣ ይሄ ማለት the form is object plus verb to be plus past participle plus subject you see unlike የቀድሙ active voice subject active voice ላይ ከፊት ሲመጣ passive voice ላይ comes at the end object active voice ላይ at the end ሲመጣ passive voice ላይ it comes at the beginning okay so tense implication ምናምን ከዚህ በኋላ ቀጥለን እናያለን ግን let's focus more on the passive voice if we do not want to mention the subject or the subject is not our focus we use passive voice even subject ኖሮ ለራሱ mention ማድረግ ካልፈለግን if we don't know who it is ወይ ደግሞ mention ማድረግ ካልፈለግን ማን እንደሆነ መናገር ካልፈለግን we can just use passive voice we can just say Twilight is loved by who የሚለው ጥያቄ ግን ይመጣል sometimes questions are asked and those questions can be done by follow-up interrogations or asking questions ከዛ በኋላ እንደዛ for example even in the sentence the check was paid by who የሚለው ጥያቄ follow ሊያደርግ ይችላል who paid the check የሚለው ጥያቄ follow ሊያደርግ ይችላል ግን እኛ ኮንሰርናችን እዚህ ጋር is the fact that the check was paid we are not concerned ከዛ በኋላ ስላለው ነው ከዛ active voice እና passive voice መቼ እንጠቀምባቸዋለን usually recommend የሚደረገው essay ስንጽፍ research ስንጽፍ ምናምን is using active voice ግን there are writers on ለምሳሌ fiction books and novel book writers use passive voice a lot to put emphasis on the object or to give us more words to work with ብዙ ተጨማሪ ቃላት እንድናገኝ የምንሰራባቸው because expressive ነው fiction እና novels by their nature expressive መሆን አለባቸው so we find them using passive voice a lot ብዙ ጊዜ passive voice እየተጠቀሙ እናገኛቸዋለን ግን research papers like short essays like or notes like it's better if we use active voice because more clearly ወይ concisely ወይ በደንብ ግልጽ አድርገው sentenceን convey ስለሚያደርጉ okay ደግሞ ሁሌ active voice ተጠቀሙ passive voiceን እርሱት ማለት አይደለም so passive voice የምንጠቀምባቸው situationዎች ይኖራሉ I'm gonna tell you a little about them the first one is when the subject is unimportant when the subject is unimportant ማለት when we want to talk more about the object instead of the subject ለምሳሌ Joe Biden was elected by the American people you see Joe Biden was elected by the American people ስንል we want to emphasize on Joe Biden ማለት who elected American people what was elected by the American people a guy called Joe Biden you see who elected Joe Biden American people what was elected by the American people a guy called Joe Biden ሁለቱን ጥያቄ መለሰልን። so እኛ ግን ፎከሳችን ስንጽፍ ፎከሳችን የምንፈልገው ጆ ባይደን ላይ ነው። if we're writing something that's about Joe Biden, we don't need the American people mentioned, or we don't need to focus on the American people. We don't care about the American people at this point. ስለዚህ when we want to write about Joe Biden, then Joe Biden is the object. We is the receiver of the action, is the receiver of the election. ስለዚህ we use here passive voice. If our writing was about the American people, ስለ American people ቢሆን ጽሁፋችን American people would have came መጀመሪያ ላይ active voice መሆን ነበረበት more sense እንዲሰጥ። ግን ጽሁፋችን ስለ ጆ ባይደን ስለሆነ we used the passive voice እዚህ ጋር ማለት ነው። and then we have when the subject is unknown. when the subject is unknown ሲሆን subject, for example, a woman was murdered late last night. A woman was murdered late last night. The action here is murdering. So what was murdered? A woman. Who murdered the woman? We don't know. Then we still want to construct a sentence, a report, a police report. So that police report like, since we do not know ማን እንደገደላት እሷን ገና ሰስፔክቶች ስለሆኑ ገና ያሉት, we cannot be like የሆነ ሰው መርደር አድርጓታል እከሌ የሚባል ሰውዬ መርደር አድርጓታል ብለን አስረግጠን ማውራት አንችልም። so we say a woman was murdered late last night. ይሄ ማለት accepted የተቀበለው ሰው አክሽኑን የተቀበለው object, the object that took the action, which is the woman, comes first. passive voice ነው የምናደርገው since አንድ ብቻ ስላለን አሁን እዚህ ጋር okay. and then we have when you want to downplay the importance of the subject. when you want to downplay the importance of the subject, ማለት it's similar when the subject is unknown. Again, the difference is you already know who the subject is, but you don't want to mention the subject. Okay? You already know who the subject is, but you don't want to mention the subject. When the subject is unknown, ማለት you don't know who murdered that woman. You don't know. When you want to downplay the importance ስንል ግን you might know, you have your own suspicions, የራስህ የሆነ ጥርጣሬ ይኖረናል፣ የራሳችን የሆነ ጥርጣሬ ይኖረናል, but we don't know exactly, so we don't mention the subject ማለት ነው። For example, the plaintiff was shot in the face while hunting. The plaintiff was shot in the face while hunting. Was shot. Who was shot? Plaintiff. The plaintiff. Who shot the plaintiff? We don't know. We have our suspicions. Alex ሊሆን ይችላል የሚል suspicion, or somebody has a suspicion. Alex ሊሆን ይችላል የሚል suspicion. Then we don't know for sure. So we don't mention Alex. Usually ይሄንን የምንጠቀመው is in a courtroom, because if you're a lawyer and you say the plaintiff was shot in the face while hunting by Alex, ካለ the lawyer Alex ተበላ ማለት ነው። It's done. Alex is done, because already in the jury's mind he's creating a picture. Alex ሊሆን ይችላል የሚል picture. So if you want to downplay the importance of the subject, you can use passive voice as well. And then the important one, the most important one. When there are two verbs with the same subject, make the second verb passive. ይሄ ማለት አንድ sentence ውስጥ compound sentence ሊሆን ይችላል። አንድ sentence ውስጥ the same subject refer የሚያደርግ ሁለት verb እና ሁለት object ካለ the አንድ subject አንዱን subject ብቻ refer የሚያደርግ ሁለት verb and object ካለ since they have the same object and the same subject you can't use the two verbs in the same form ስለዚህ አንደኛውን verb ፎርሙን መቀየር አለብን for example Alex shot someone in the face Alex shot someone in the face ይሄ እንዴት ነው Alex is the subject Alex is the subject shot is the verb and the someone who was shot is the object active voice now he Alex shot someone who shot someone Alex someone was shot by who by Alex okay Alex shot what did Alex shoot የሚለው ጥያቄ ደግሞ someone he shot someone he shot somebody and was awarded a slap on the wrist you see was awarded ደግሞ is another verb we have so እዚህ ጋር ምን ሆነ Alex became the subject of the first sentence and the object of the second sentence the subject of the first sentence ሆነ the object of the second sentence ሆነ but both of the verbs are referring to Alex ሁለቱንም verb Alexን refer እያደረጉ ነው ስለዚህ in this case we make ሁለተኛውን verb passive voice ማለት ሁለተኛውን verb passive voice እናደርገዋለን and then we're going to see how to convert active voice to passive voice active voice to passive voice this is active voice to passive voice ደግሞ ከዚህ በኋላ የምናየው ደግሞ passive voice to active voice ይሆናል this is easier active voice ወደ passive voice መቀየር is easier than passive voice ወደ active voice መቀየር ግን if you get a knack of it ይሄ ማለት active voice ወደ passive voice እንዴት እንደሚቀየር ካወቀ it's going to be easier for us passive voice ወደ active voice መቀየር so the first step ሁለቱንም active voice ወደ passive voice and passive voice ወደ active voice ስንቀይር we gotta know who the subject is which one is the verb and who the object is for example the chef prepared a delicious meal the chef prepared a delicious meal የሚለው ላይ we have the verb prepared we have the verb prepared የሚለው verb who prepared what who and now what የሚሉ ጥያቄዎች መመለስ አለባቸው what was prepared by who was it prepared so who prepared what the chef prepared a delicious meal so እዚህ ጋር subjecታችን is the chef verbaችን is prepared ቅድም የለየነው and a delicious meal is the object a delicious meal is the object ከዛ switch places መጀመሪያ the easiest step the second easiest step switch places since object ከፊት ነው subject ከኋላ ነው የሚመጣው ስላልነው passive voice ላይ switch ታደርጋላችሁ places so we already know the object comes first and then the verb and then the subject okay and then the third rule is using verb to be መጠቀም sentence ውስጥ so እዚህ ጋር ለምሳሌ we have was prepared active voice ላይ prepared የነበረው we used was prepared so how we change the verb tells us how we insert the verb to be tells us the tense of the active voice. So እዚህ ጋር the verb to be was, the verb to be was is telling us about the tense of the active voice verb. ይሄ ማለት the main verb is always in past participle form. Always in past participle form ነው ወደ passive voice ሲቀየር main verb active voice ላይ ያገኘው main verb ወደ passive voice ሲቀየር ሁሌ past participle ነው የሚሆነው። okay ግን the verb to be ከሱ በፊት የሚመጣው verb to be አሁን እዚህ ጋር was tells us about the tense. okay so was is telling us that the active voice main verb was in simple past form. And here we have a list. Present simple ከነበር for example we have is are plus past participle of the main verb. okay ለምሳሌ if the sentence was the chef prepares a delicious meal ቢሆን the chef prepares a delicious meal ቢሆን a delicious meal is prepared by the chef. A delicious meal is prepared by the chef. So is የገባው እዚህ ጋር is the chef prepares መሆኑ እዚህ ጋር simple present መሆኑን ለማሳየት ነው ማለት ነው። and then we have present continuous ሲሆን ደግሞ so is is for continuous normally active voice ላይ የምናውቀው so ከሱ ጋር confusion ላለመፍጠር passive voice ሲሆን is plus being we add being to it plus past participle so past participle ሁሉም ላይ አለ ብያቸዋለሁ so the things you need to focus is the verb to be አንደኛ ሁለተኛ being አለው የለውም የሚለውን ጥያቄ ነው so being ካለ it's always in continuous form ሁሌ continuous form ነው being አለ ማለት for example the chef is preparing a delicious meal ከሆነ active voice is preparing ብትሆንች prepared የነበረችው in the passive voice we say a delicious meal is being prepared so continuous ላይ ሲሆን any type of continuous ላይ ሲሆን present perfect continuous ሊሆን ይችላል we have being past continuous ሊሆን ይችላል we have being past perfect continuous ሊሆን ይችላል we still do have being okay so continuous ላይ we always have being continuous ከሆነ ካልሆነ ደግሞ simple ከሆነ we use the verb to be we normally use with continuous tense okay is are has was were is are and was were for past simple tense is are le present simple tense was were le past simple tense and then continuous ከሆነ you take the simple form plus being አለው past ላይም እንደዛው plus being okay present perfect ሲሆን normal perfect form አሁን present perfect normal form has have plus past participle ነው past perfect normal form had plus past participle ነው so normal form ይሆናል present perfect continuous ከሆነም እንደዛው has have plus being plus past participle ነው past perfect continuous ከሆነም እንደዛው so the only difference is with past simple past continuous present simple present continuous and the future tense the future simple tense future simple tense will be ይሆናል will plus be for example እዚህ ላይ the chef will prepare ቢሆን ይሄ the chef will prepare a delicious meal ቢሆን the chef will prepare a delicious meal ቢሆን a delicious meal will be prepared ይሆናል a delicious meal will be prepared by the chef ይሆናል okay and then the last one አራተኛው so I told you passive voice like we don't have to mention the subject we don't have to ዝም ብለን መተው እንችላለን ግን if day comes by or አስተማሪያችሁ ብሏችሁ if you have to mention the subject sentence ውስጥ you should always use by before the subject always use by the preposition by before the subject for example the chef prepared a delicious meal the chef prepared a delicious meal the subject is the chef قدام ያየነው form no form a delicious meal was prepared by the chef again a delicious meal was prepared ብለን ማቆም እንችላለን ግን subject to the chef መሆኑን ማሳየት ፈልገን we want to add the chef እዚህ sentence ውስጥ ካለን ግን we have to write the preposition by ከsubject to በፊት by the chef so who prepared the delicious meal the chef what was prepared a delicious meal so objecታችን ከፊት መጣ right እዚህ ጋር past tense ስለሆነ we used simple past tense ስለሆነ we used was plus past participle prepared and then we have by the chef subject on mention ስላደረግነው we use by preposition before the subject okay mention አለማድረግም እንችላለን just like the second sentence a delicious meal was prepared ብለን ማቆም እንችላለን and then we have maintaining the sentence tense maintaining the sentence tense this is not indirect speech ቀደም እንዳልኳችሁ መጀመሪያ ላይ passive voice ማለት indirect speech ማለት አይደለም they're completely different እንደዛ ስለሆነ ቴንሱን አንቀይረው አሁን indirect speech ላይ we said አንድ step ወደ past እንሄዳለን አንድ step we go back to the past passive voice like again we're not reporting we're just changing the sentence form ስለዚህ we don't change the tense make sure not to change the tense ብዙ ሰው እዚህ ላይ confused ይሆናል ምክንያቱም past ወደ past participle ነው የሚቀየረው main verb no matter what ስለተባለ people think it's perfect tense ነው ብለው ነው የሚያስቡት it's not perfect tense ያለውን እንዳለ ነው የምናስቀምጠው okay that's why we use the verb to be indicators that is why we use the verb to be indicators for example the cat kills the mice the cat kills the mice እዚህ ጋር kills shows us that the sentence is present simple so the mice are killed by the cat so are killed are plus past participle እዚህ ጋር is indicating that the active voice is in present simple form ማለት ነው okay so make sure to follow these rules and then we have changing passive voice into active voice so while changing passive voice into active voice we basically follow the same rules again inverted as in we say we change the object and the subject እዚህ ላይ we change the object and the subject ወደ ቦታቸው ይመለሳሉ መጀመሪያ we find the action of the sentence was prepared okay the action of the sentence was the main verb እዚህ ጋር prepared but was indicates the tense so wasንም እናስባለን consideration ውስጥ ይገባል was and then if the subject is mentioned which should always be ምክንያቱም if we want to change passive voice into active voice subject ያስፈልገናል subject ሳይኖረን ምንቀይረው sentence ሳይኖር because impossible ነው ለመቀየር መጀመሪያ ላይ መምጣት አይችልም null subject የሌለ subject መጀመሪያ ላይ መምጣት አይችልም so subject refer መደረግ አለበት so subject አለ ወይ የለም ቼክ እናደርጋለን or refer ማድረግ የምንችል ከሆነ እናያለን So if the subject is there, we put it at the beginning ማለት ነው። ከዛ we put the object back, we put the object at the end. For example, a delicious meal was prepared by the chef. We have the subject እዚህ ጋር the chef. Another sentence ደግሞ a delicious meal was prepared. አሁን ከነዚህ ሁለቱ sentences which one can you change? አሁን እርግጥ ነው you can give it your own subject እዚህ ጋር you can put your own subject when converting it ከመጀመሪያ የሚመጣ የሆነ subject ልትሰጡ ትችላላችሁ እናንተ ግን that is grammatically unallowed because you were not given a subject to refer to መጀመሪያው refer የምታደርጉት subject መጀመሪያውን ስላልተሰጣችሁ grammatically allowed የሆነ ነገር አይደለም ግን አስተማሪያችሁ አርጉት ካላችሁ you can do that ግን ፈተና ላይ please don't. A delicious meal was prepared by the chef ሲባል we have the subject እዚህ ጋር it's indicated that this is the subject so መቀየር መጀመር እንችላለን ማለት ነው. We found the verb, the main action, and we found the subject and we found the object too. Delicious meal ከፊት የመጣው okay and then የሰብጀክቱ እና የኦብጀክቱ ቦታ የቱ ጋር እንደሆነ since subject እና object ስለለየን እናውቃለን already so we ቅድም identify ካረግነው action ውስጥ was prepared የሚለው action ቅድም identify ያረግነው action ውስጥ we have to know the tense so active ወደ passive ስንቀይር ምን ብያችሁ ነበር you always use past participle for the main verb ግን ከፊቱ የሚመጣው verb to be tells us the tense form የቴንሱ ትክክለኛ ፎርም እንደሆነ ይነግረናል so here we have was plus past participle passive voice ላይ this shows us ምን past simple tense ነው የሚገልጽልን so ይሄ past simple tense ነው ማለት ሲቀየር prepared ብቻ ትሆናለች ማለት ነው the verb ሲቀየር prepared ብቻ ትሆናለች and then the last step is organizing አሁን ጭንቅላታችሁ ውስጥ ሁሉንም ሰራችሁ ጭንቅላታችሁ ውስጥ you're like okay this is the subject this is the object አለን okay this is the prepared is the main verb it is in past simple form so እንቀይረው subject plus verb plus object ወደ ሆነ ፎርሙ ወደ active voice form እንቀይረው okay ስንቀይረው we don't take by the preposition by passive voice ላይ ነው የምንጠቀምበት ብያቸዋለሁ we said active voice ወደ passive voice መቀየር ላይ we said we add by passive voice ሲሆን ድርጊቱን ማን እንደፈጸመ ለማሳየት so እዚህ ጋር since the subject ስለሆነ ከፊት የሚመጣው we don't need to add by ይወጣል the preposition by so a delicious meal was prepared by the chef we said this is the subject by አጥፍተን by እንትተን the chef የሚለውን እንወስዳለን so the chef ከፊት መጣ we need the verb was prepared የሚለው verb main verbaችን መሆኑን እናውቃለን and that was የሚለው indicates us what was indicates that it's past simple tense was plus past participle መሆኑ indicates past simple tense መሆኑ so we take prepared past simple form of the word prepared and then we take the object a delicious meal so and listen about the chef prepared a delicious meal so make sure to identify the subject to identify the object and to identify the tense not just passive voice with active voice ሲቀይሩ active voice with passive voice ሲቀይሩ make sure to identify the subject the object and the tense of the verb it's never changed the tense of the verb is never changed And another thing, subject እና object ብለን ስናወራ ሁሌ the verb is what ማለት ነው? The verb is a transitive verb ማለት ነው። So ሁሌ active voice, passive voice ስንል the verb is transitive. Direct object አለው ማለት ነው። ድርጊቱን ተቀባይ አካል ሁሌ exist ያደርጋል ማለት ነው። Okay? And then we're going to do some questions. So as always, እንደተለመደው I'm going to do one question from each exercise, and I need you guys to do the rest. So identify whether the given verbs are transitive or intransitive. So the first one, fight. Fight. I used to fight a lot of children when I was a kid. Unusually, we know whether a verb is transitive or intransitive by trying. Sentence ውስጥ insert ያደረገ. Okay? So, and verb transitivum intransitivum ሊሆን ይችላል based on the situation we use it. ግን transitivum intransitivum ሊሆን ይችላል ማለት transitive ነው ማለት ነው። እንደ transitive ነው የምንወስደው እንደ አገባቡ ስለሆነ። ግን intransitive verb ከሆነ to begin with transitive ሊሆን ይችላል። transitive verb ከሆነ ግን እንዳገባቡ intransitive ሊሆን ይችላል። So we have fight. So I fought him. ካልን I fought him እሱ ጋር ተደባድቤያለሁ። So who was fighting? I was fighting. I was fighting who? What was I fighting? Him. Another guy. Him. Another person. Okay? So fight is a transitive verb. So what I need you to identify transitive and intransitive like, who did the action? Who was the action done by? Who did the action? And on who was the action done? Or on what was the action done? ማን ነው ድርጊቱን ያደረገው? ድርጊቱ ማን ላይ ነው ያረፈው? የሚሉትን ጥያቄዎች ነው የምትመልሱት። And then we have the second exercise. Change the sentences into passive voice. So I'm going to do the first one. The gardener waters the plants every morning. The gardener waters the plants every morning. So subjectation, the gardener. Objectation, the plants. Subjectation, the gardener. Objectation, the plants. Main verbation, waters. Waters. So this is not the normal noun water አይደለም። waters ማለት ያጠጣል ማለት ነው። So the gardener waters the plants. ቦታ እንቀያይራቸዋለን መጀመሪያ። the plants ከፊት ይመጣል። the plants ከፊት ይመጣል። waters is in simple present form. Simple present form ነው ያለው። So the plants is plural. So we use are. Plants plural ስለሆነ we use are. Okay? The plants are watered. waters past participle form are already simple present form indicate ያደርጋልን ስለሆነ the plants are watered by the gardener every morning. Or the plants are watered every morning by the gardener. The plants are watered every morning by the gardener. Okay? እንደዛ ያላችሁ ቀይሩት. And then we have changing the passive into active. Changing the passive into active. So the first one, a new product will be launched by the company next month. A new product will be launched by the company next month. So the company is the subject, will be launched is the verb, and a new product is the object. As you go. So tense form መለየት አለብን። will be launched. So tense form will ስላለ will be ስለሆነ it's future simple tense ማለት ነው። will be launched ስለሆነ it's future simple tense. So future simple tense ከሆነ ይሄ we said that the main verb launched is always in past participle tense. So the company buy ይጠፋል ወደ active voice ሲሄድ so the company ብለን እንጀምርና will launch simple future tense ስለሆነ will be shows us its simple future tense. So will launch a new product next month. Time indicator እንዳንረሳ. Okay? The company will launch a new product next month. ይሆናል. So that's it for today. Thank you all for listening.